Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching another episode at Investing with All I See is W. Today, I wanted to make this video to share with you my highlights on how I feel about the current stock market, and I wanted to share with you tickers that I feel can make your investment portfolio grow. And what we learned from the prior week is that the stock market took a big tumble, especially in the tech market. And what that did was it dragged most of the stocks down last week. We learned that on Thursday and on Friday there was a major sell-off. But the difference was that in Thursday it was a continuous drop all the way from the beginning through the end of Thursday trading. And now in Friday, it opened up really bad where a lot of the companies started off opening up in the pre-market in the negative, like around the 7 to 10% drop. But as the day progressed, it was more of a day trader's day. Let's say like if you were to invest in most companies, like right when the market opened, then it would start trending upwards. So a lot of day traders made significant money on Friday at least. So that was a good thing if that was your kind of a investment strategy. But for me, given that we know where the market is headed with potential market correction with the standard S&P and the Dow Jones, I feel like this is a great opportunity for the biotech company to position itself to start doing well again. And to me, I firmly believe this is just an opportunity where big investors are trying to manipulate the stock so that the share prices go down, and investors like us, along with big time corporations, can make big time investments into these companies. And I think that's what's happening right now, getting ready for the updates for Operation Warp Speed. If you think about it though, I mean, not much progress has happened, but I feel like implementation of Operation Warp Speed along with all of the approved companies will likely take place. So we may start seeing a lot more action. And just looking at the COVID-19 numbers, I mean, yesterday I was looking at the numbers and looking at the top 10 countries. You have countries like in Mexico, you have other South America countries that are now in the top 10. I recall when we were looking at our winter time, when we're looking at data in the winter time, nowhere do we see countries like Mexico and other countries in the top 10. But now, given that Mexico and all the southern countries have experienced a true summer, like Brazil, for example, now we see that the southern hemisphere countries being in the top regions after experiencing its first summer. So what does that mean to say with countries like in Europe and United States when it experiences its second season impact? I'm sure that there will be some significant change in the infection rate. So that is my forecast. And for me, given that the first wave initiated the demand for biotech, and that's not going to change, the second catalyst will be that given the infection rate change, it will likely increase the demand even further for these biotech companies, right? Because when you think about it, early on when the outbreak happens, companies will have to promise so much about what they do and what their target is. Of course, most people don't really know what companies are doing. That's why companies have to really showcase their potential and their technology in terms of what they can deliver and provide to the world. Now in current times, it's more of investors expecting for results. It's now investors understanding companies can overpromise, but instead of relying on companies that overpromise, investors are getting more smart and realizing that companies need to support what they promise with data. Now that is more a validation of what you initially promised. So that's going to come out from these phase trials. And for me, I believe it's going to be all based off of product differentiation and how effective your product is. And it's not about how much you talk in the media and all that. It's really going to be your safety and efficacy data in your phase 2 and 3 clinical trials. Phase 1, granted, it's great that most companies pass phase 1, but that's on healthy patients. You're not really evaluating infected patients with COVID-19 with your pre-approved vaccine delivered. Now, I'm interested to see how the vaccines will play out in phase 2, phase 3, given you have a ramp up of patients, you have different age groups, you have different human physiologies, but the key difference is you're now injecting your vaccine into infected patients. So how do you see the development of T cells, antibodies? Those are all the elements to consider, and that's why I feel there's going to be companies that will showcase itself, and not so much of what we hear in the news, but we will start seeing companies demonstrate its true product. And I'm going to go ahead and now share with you from a financial input what tickers I feel will add significant value to your investment portfolio. Okay, now let's get started. So these tickers I wanted to share with you are Zomedica Pharmaceuticals by the ticker ZOM. This company is a veterinarian manufacturer of drugs where it's coming out with a number of different products intended for animals, like animals and dogs. So they're working on a pre-approved drug product right now for thyroid problems with animals, eating too much, eating too less, called the True Forma. I believe with a number of its product lines, Zomedica Pharma will likely grow in its share price, and currently it's hovering very low right now. You can get the share price like at around 12 cents per share. Imagine how many shares you can accumulate, and if or when this goes up to like 80 cents, you've capitalized on like 4 to 5 fold right there. So that's a hot ticker for all of you. On Thursday, when most share prices went down, ZOM was actually in the green zone. Why? We don't know, right? We know that the demand for animal drugs is always in the low demand. Well, let's see how that changes moving forward. Okay, next up I wanted to share with you is Inovio Pharmaceuticals by the ticker INO. So just recently we heard another shorter coming in. Aside from Citron, who shorted the company early March, well, now we have another shorter writing negative publicity on Inovio Pharmaceuticals, fairly similar to what Citron was saying in the past, that this company has been around for so long and there hasn't been any product being sold. So just throwing in all that stuff and just bashing the company. But what we know is FDA had just approved one of its drug vaccines in the orphan drug designation status phase for RRP. So that just tells you right there, one of their vaccines for DNA actually works. So how the INO 4800 will play, we will see. And I'm very interested to see the safety and efficacy data in the phase 2 and 3. And I'm sure funding from CEPI will likely be coming, and it's exciting to see how there was the 8K release from the company to intrinsically motivate the leadership team for the progression of the INO 4800. And it's nice to see, like, okay, if or when the vaccine does get approved, and that means the leadership team will get like 30% along with your tenureship along with the company. So that's cool to see that, because I'm sure that will intrinsically motivate Joseph Kim to lead and inspire his team to move forward with the INO 4800 to get this in implementation phase and clinically moving forward with the health administrators such as the Food and Drug Administration. All right, so now I'm going to move over to the next ticker that can add value to you, and that is iBio by the ticker iBio. Now, what I'm going to say is, this company, it went from like $2 to $7, and now it's gone from $7 to $2. But what's interesting was on Friday, yesterday, the share price shot up close to 4% at the end of the day, while most tickers went in the red. It's nice to see that, right? I mean, I see catalysts in this company. The rate of change for the share price, although it can tumble, I feel like it can increase up at any point in time now. We just have to be patient to await for news for iBio to release data that their investigational new drug application has been clinically accepted by the Food and Drug Administration to introduce iBio 201, iBio 200 into phase 1 clinical trials for evaluation of its safety and efficacy profile. Now, what I'm going to say is the CEO that is leading the company right now at iBio, Tom Isett, he has extensive experience at GE Healthcare, and Becton Dickinson. And so, for those reasons, the fact that he has experience working in large scale companies that demonstrate economies of scale, I feel like all of the best practices learned from the large scale companies can be applied to iBio. And with Tom Isett's experience, I feel like he is a true scientist who truly understands the complexities of his product, and that's why I see the philanthropy efforts coming out from this company now, seeing how it's partner up with Planet Biotechnology, and I see steps moving forward to ramp up its resources and capabilities to look far ahead, not just 2021, but looking far into the future as well, setting up infrastructure for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's why I feel iBio is a great long-term investment. And share prices right now are low, but if we look into the future, it may not be very low soon. So capitalizing on the share gain right now can be a lifesaver for you in the future. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to the next ticker now, and that is Novavax by the ticker NVAX. Now we know Novavax has been around working and pumping its NanoFlu that is currently in phase 3 clinical trials, but we know there's promising data with that product line, and it will likely be approved by the Food and Drug Administration headway into 2021 and then start getting commercialized for that new influenza product. So that's amazing. And not only are they working on the NanoFlu, but they're also working on the coronavirus vaccine that is making headway. I believe it's working its way into phase 2 clinical trials, and the share price, it was previously hovering at like $170, and now it's back down to 92. I previously invested into Novavax at 60 and got out at 100. I was thinking about doing it earlier, like 34, and then getting out at the triple digit range, but I made my commitment, got out at a 40-50% profit gain, and will never look back. But I think this company has more to offer in terms of profit, so let's continue to monitor this company because it recently just got granted from Canada for potentially buying out a big batch of its COVID-19 vaccine, for at least for Canada. So there's demand in place right now. It's just going through the clinical trials hurdles at this point in time. So that's NVAX. Next up, I wanted to share with you is Co-Diagnostics by the ticker CODX, company based out in Utah with an employee size of around 40 employees. This company is working on IVD test diagnostic kits to identify COVID-19 using very innovative technology. And what's amazing about the technology they have is that within 63 to 90 minutes, it can detect if a patient is infected or not. I mean, there's tons of companies in the clinical diagnostic space right now, but the more the better in terms of having availability. And given its share price dropping down to where it's currently at right now at $8.24, although it may continue to drop further, I feel like it's a great buying opportunity, just knowing that a company based in Utah focusing on high quality diagnostic test kits. It has a Logic Smart COVID-19 test that is working its way into clinical trials for testing safety and efficacy. So I feel that this company will continue to grow and expand its capabilities and resources, just knowing you only have 40 employees, but there is potential demand, and that may be reflective in its share price. So let's not exclude Co-Diagnostics at a share price of $8 at this time. Next up, I wanted to go through is the company Vaxart, VXRT. So we all know that the company, the great news was that it released information where it had submitted its IND submission to the Food and Drug Administration, and by 1 week or 2 weeks from now, we should be hearing a response back from the Food and Drug Administration, because it takes about 30 days to hear back from the Food and Drug Administration based on the regulatory process. Now, if or when we hear back from the Food and Drug Administration, one, there can be funding provided from the Operation Warp Speed, because OPS provided funding for the animal trial studies for its experiment. Now, once it gets into phase 1, there has to be some company that will provide funding for VXRT. So the fact that there will be funding given to VXRT, the share price can hover up quite significantly back to where the power resistance value is. Currently right now it's like in the $5. I feel like it can go back up into the double digit range unexpectedly without us even knowing. So let's hold on tight with the VXRT, and I feel like it's just a great buying opportunity, knowing that it's less invasive than having to take like a actual like vaccine injection shot into your body. Okay, so next up I wanted to go through is VBI Vaccines by the ticker VBIV. To me, I feel like this is a game changer long-term investment company that is based in Massachusetts. It also has facilities in Israel, and it's now partnering up with Canada as well, trying to introduce this hepatitis product line that's already previously approved in Israel, but now the goal is to get that working and improved in Canada and commercialized in the United States. Can you imagine with a new hepatitis B product in the United States? Hepatitis B is one of the biggest diseases for hepatitis. I mean, you have hepatitis A, B, and C, but B is quite alarming with the infection rates, and that's not going away. And with the vaccine for hepatitis B providing immunity, that is great news. You don't hear so much about hepatitis vaccines, and knowing VBIV has a quality vaccine for that, that's amazing. In addition to the Hep B vaccine that they're working on, the company also is trying to establish a more robust program with its COVID-19 program. So I feel like in the long term, this company will be providing an array of vaccines that can potentially protect humanity. And I think of this company as a high quality company. With its current share price hovering at the low $3, you can potentially gain on 100% positive proceeds if or when the share price went up to $6. And we saw the power resistance hit $6 along with it jumping up from like low $3 to like $5 like 2 weeks ago, just within one day. So let's hold on tight with VBIV. Okay, next up I want to go through is Rigel Pharmaceuticals by the ticker RIGL. So I've shared with you different vaccines, different treatments, but I haven't shared with you drugs intended for symptoms for like pneumonia related to COVID-19. So companies like Rigel Pharmaceuticals is working on pharmaceutical drugs, small molecule targets to protect us from like pneumonia related to COVID-19. And based on its share price right now, I feel like this is a great buying opportunity where it's hovering at like the low twos. And just the last month, when you look at, while most of the COVID-19 related stocks had tumbled, Rigel Pharmaceuticals had the lowest risk, and I continue to see it trending upward, even though Thursday and Friday was quite bad. You didn't see Rigel Pharmaceuticals dropping as much, but there's great opportunities with this company once its product line makes headway, because I don't hear anything about like drugs being made for COVID-19 related to pneumonia. So this company can pop. Very low volume, but the volume can change, and those who get in at the low volume, low action will likely get higher positive returns, because those are the people who are investing with vision without having the trends being seen. So for example, seeing the 5-day moving average break the 20-day moving average intersection point, that's when people like investing in. But for those who have vision and invest, that's when you gain the most return on investment. So that's my takeaway for Rigel Pharmaceuticals, and it has the COVID-19 pneumonia that targets the tyrosine kinase in the body. So a very unique product portfolio. Now I'm going to go over to Heat Biologics by the ticker HTBX. So when the market opened yesterday, the share price dropped down significantly. And let's say if you bought in at the low, just on one single day, you could have gained like close to 20% right there yesterday. But I'm thinking this company will start gaining traction with positive news coming out from its clinical trials data from the University of Miami. And I'm sure that it will likely get into phase 1 with the 65% confidence probability of it moving forward into phase 1. And I'm sure that with its GP96 COVID-19 vaccine, it can demonstrate safety, at least in the phase 1 clinical trials, at least testing on healthy patients. But how does that apply with unhealthy patients? We don't know, but let's observe and reassess the data in phase 1 and then see how the share price will be impacted at that point in time. But I think this company is a great value investment company at this time, given its current share price. Now I'm going to go through the last ticker, which is Sorrento Therapeutics by the ticker SRNE. What I'm going to say is the CEO is very frustrated right now with where the current share price is because of all of the shorters and manipulators. It kind of reminds me of when Inovio had its pop and then all these shorters started coming into play and trying to bring down the company's share price. But from what we heard with the CEO, it's nice to see the leader showcase the company and present to all of the people. When I say all of the people, not only the investors, but all the doubters out there. For all the doubters, you're welcome to come visit the facility with 100 of its employees that include medical professionals and PhDs that are working on cutting edge innovative technology at the facility. So the fact that you see the CEO welcoming everyone to the facility to see what they're working on, that just tells you how confident the leader is of his team, his company, and the product line and the culture at that company in San Diego. To me, with its quick test for diagnostic testing within 30 minutes, you see color change to see whether a patient is COVID-19 related or not. I feel like tests like that will take off, making it become a game changer company, as well as its product line, the Covishield, getting potential clinical approval in Brazil for use. So you see the expeditious manner getting products advanced into different countries, while we do hear advancement of like emergency use authorization. So for example, if you look on the website at Sorrento Therapeutics, you see updates with EUA information now, and that happened like last week, just recently towards the end of the weekday. So to me, we see so many products that Sorrento Therapeutics is working on for just the COVID-19 alone. There's like 7 product lines, and a few of those product lines will likely get EUA as evidenced by the website for Sorrento Therapeutics. Okay, so those are all the tickers I wanted to share with you, my top 10 tickers. And I know that recently a lot of people are casting doubt on the biotech industry, but what we know is it's going to shoot up, and I firmly believe that because I'm going to go against the holy grail thinking that biotech is going down. Think about it. Pre-pandemic, these biotech companies, most people didn't even hear about it, but now we hear about it. Now these companies are forced to hiring people, and now there's more buy-in from these companies to tap into the government to ask for funding because of safety reasons. When companies can convince other governments, external bodies out there for funding, if they have a story for safety and if they have a story about their product being effective, that's all you need, because funding will start coming with those 2 elements tackled. So I wanted to make this video to give you highlights on my current thinking with outside news and how that impacts the COVID-19 market. And I wanted to share with you value investment tickers that I feel can add value to your investment portfolio. So thank you so much for watching another episode, and I appreciate you supporting my channel. Let's win together, guys.